One man saying that is fine. If that's your opinion and you're not in it, that's fine. But there is an entire market of millions and millions of people that agree that it is a store of value. So, you can think one thing, but there's also a market, and markets tend to become efficient over time.
We do know that you will always get paid in Hex on a daily basis. And that is truly the miracle that we call Hex, because it is trustless interest, trustless yield. Nothing will stop that contract from running.
Oh. Welcome in, everybody, to the Creed of Crypto. It is I, Broke Boy Crypto. How are you guys doing today? I figured I had some time today, and I thought, hey, let's just do a little pop-up stream. Felt like talking a little bit of crypto, seeing if anybody showed up, and just chilling with you all. Just I today. Ewok said he may drop in if he gets a moment, but I don't think it's probably likely. I was wanting to just do a little hangout, maybe hang out here for 30, 40 minutes. We'll kind of see how it is, see who pops in. What's up, bro? Appreciate you being here as always, from London, of course. So thank you for being here a little bit later in the day for you. But yeah, I was actually just out of town for a couple days in the depths of the woods where I live, which was just amazing. Like, to completely disconnect from not just like the market and stuff like that, but just everything in general. I mean, obviously the touch grass meme is a real thing when it comes to crypto, but really just being away from everything, work, people, and actually still being around people there. And I just can't, I mean, I keep getting speechless when I talk about it. It was just such good vibes to be away, and I know people like different types of escapes, different types of vacations. I just love getting in the woods, having a fire going. We were set up at a cabin right off the lake, and just the breeze coming off the lake and everything like that, and just seeing different families there camping with their gigantic RVs and campers and stuff. I mean, these people like live for it. Like, they're just there constantly for weeks at a time. It's just it's so good. Like, it literally, to me, feels like you're in another universe. When you're just deep in the depths of the woods or in a campground like that. I just absolutely love it. So I was unplugged literally a little bit from the market for a couple days, but just getting back into it and remembering what a goddamn slog it all is. Not just that, but just kind of normal life when you get back into things, and there is Crypto Ewok. Shout out to you. Yeah, appreciate you guys liking the video. Appreciate you being here. Again, this public service announcement, this will not be a normal stream. I am chilling out, hanging with you guys, and I'm curious what you guys have to say. Let me know. Again, I've been out of town the last couple days and curious what all of you guys have thought. Marco, I know you have been high on the Atropa supply. So many of your comments on our videos the other day. It doesn't need to peg to $1, LOL. Nah, it's gonna just keep pumping on its way up to $5. Okay, well, hey, I still have a small bag of Atropa. I would totally take that. I guess we'll see. I know there's a lot of PDI stuff flying around lately, and everybody talking about August 23rd is this key date. Whether it is, I'm seeing it on all kinds of things. Maybe you guys can fill me in on what August 23rd is going to bring. At first, I thought it was, all these market materials are going to hit U.S. soil that day, which how anybody would know that, I don't know. I think they kind of pulled it out of their ass. But that, and then it was, Liberty Swap has been talking about August 23rd as, I I think the day that Solana will be added as an on-ramp for them, which, I mean, is awesome. I mean, if that is what they're doing, but they've been kind of the master of this countdown, that countdown, and all that stuff. So I guess we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I'm not a super big fan of the wait till this date thing, because as we all know, with anything, I mean, it's just markets in general. It's not just Pulse Chain or how things are happening within our ecosystem, but it's usually a sell-off type thing. You know, Ewok and I were talking about next month, which this is an interesting topic, but we're about three and a half weeks away from the next FOMC meeting with the Fed, where they're almost certainly going to be cutting rates. I mean, you know, the last I looked, it was a 95% chance on the market predictor thing. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. I guess the big question is, by how much? Is this a 25-point rate cut? Is it a 50? I mean, I would tend to think they're not going to go that extreme, but just the fact that they're even considering it is, you know, I think Jerome Powell's back is against the wall at this point. And regardless of his disdain for Trump or anything like that, I think it's just time that the Fed is going to have to pivot and further kick this inflation can of the US dollar down the road, because it, you know, there's just, all they can do is put Band-Aids on, you know, what is a completely destroyed, you know, broken bone at this point. It's not something they're going to be able to recover. So, yeah, I'm interested to see what they'll do at that meeting. And talking about like certain dates, that's like September 17th or 18th. And I think that we're gonna, even though we've had this pullback these last couple days, I think we're going to continue to pump into that date. I mean, that is me. I could be incorrect. I titled the stream today, you know, what if Ethereum has already topped for the cycle? You know, not likely to me, probably not to a lot of you either. We saw it basically. I mean, if you zoom out on the all-time chart, Ethereum basically touched the previous all-time high. It was right there, didn't quite make it yet. It makes sense to get it rejected off of that. But I'm thinking we're probably going to keep pumping into the rate cut, and then we probably will see a sell the news event on the day of the actual rate cut. You know, I think that's typically what happens. You know, the Fed will pivot, so everybody will think, oh yeah, the markets are going to pump, and you'll see that quick short-term action like always happens on huge news like that. But I think ultimately there'll be a slight sell-off probably in late September. And I think we'll probably continue to pump into it. And I still, I mean, even though we've seen this pullback the last couple of days, well, we got Ethereum at, you know, this huge pullback. We're down to 4,300. Okay. So Ethereum is about $400 or $500 less than it was a few days ago. Man, not that this is going out on some kind of crazy limb, but I think we see an Ethereum all-time high by the rate cut date. I mean, that's just me, but you know, the vibes are already out there. People already believe the rate cuts are coming, and that's usually all it takes for markets to pump. And with ETH already making this charge that it has, and honestly, the strength of this bounce we're seeing right now, not just from Ethereum but also Pulse Chain during this time. I know we saw the big money bridge over to Pulse Chain the other day. I think this bounce is good. I mean, I think Ethereum had a CME gap at like 40.85 or something, which it did look like it. But when I checked the other day when I was out of town, I think it pretty much bounced right off that area. And this is, yeah, if it bounces right back up here, this is a healthy, quick bounce. So I love a healthy, quick bounce. So Duke of Booze, cheers to you, man. Appreciate you being here as always. Looking forward to anything that you do and any content that you create. Mr. Chinks, yeah, I didn't realize there's Powell talking tomorrow. Is that like the Jackson Hole thing? I don't know. You know, I love a good Jackson Hole, but I don't know if that's what that is. I know I've heard of that meeting before. I forget when that's taking place, but yeah, I think we're still in bullish times. I mean, look, like the question on the stream is, what if Ethereum has already hit the high? And this is something I was reflecting on this weekend or whatever. We're in the middle of the week, but the last few days when I was out of town camping and just totally disconnected from everything. It's like when you, especially if you're still a working individual, you know, which, you know, some people in crypto are lucky enough where they've been able to fully retire, maybe just do the work it is that they desire to do, start their own business, work when they want, whatever. But a lot of people, if you're in crypto, are still trading your time for money. And it's not a wonderful predicament to be in, although it is the predicament that most adults in the country that I live in anyway, and, throughout the world find themselves in. I mean, and not to shit on working for a living. I'm in no way doing that. But let's face it, I think the overwhelming majority of people would say that, at the very least, they would like to be not doing anything at all. I mean, we have a lot of people like that, and those kind of lazy people probably aren't even in crypto. And they're kind of just giving up on their hopes and dreams and all that stuff. But a lot of us do want to do work and do want to make the world a better place. We just want to do what we think that is. And a lot of times, again, it's not trading your time for money, working for a company that, when I talk to my dad about this all the time, like there was a different generation years ago that if I were born in the generation of the 50s, 60s, 70s, when you worked for a company and they took care of you, there was a guaranteed pension. I got a wonderful wristwatch the day that I retire, whatever. That was the dream. And that could be, I would have enjoyed that dream at that time. I mean, if the dream was like to have a small little family living in a nice suburban home and a car, and your wife can stay home while you work and the company you work for respects you. I mean, yeah, I think at that time that was something to aim for. Working class hero is something to be, as John Lennon once said. But yeah, I mean, there was a time when that was something that we aspired to. But now we're at a point where, let's face it, I mean, everybody's cards are on the table. Most companies really do not care about you. And I think overall, we should reflect that back to the companies we work for. Now, you should still do a good job, I think, while you're there, even if it is a job you dislike. But I think you should put in all the effort that you possibly can while maybe you work on the thing you really love and care about and are passionate about on the side. And if that is crypto or looking at an investment vehicle like this, then that's great. But gone are the days where, you're going to be taken care of. And of course, my generation and a lot of people these days are upset with like paying Social Security and things. And it's like, am I even going to receive any of that? I'm in no way am I working that into my retirement plans, that I'm going to get these payments down the road. So I guess what I'm saying is I was just reflecting on a lot of that stuff this week when I was, again, totally unplugged and doing something I actually want to do. It's honestly like a shift in consciousness. And I know I come on here on a live stream and say that, and it sounds woo-woo and stuff, but I think whenever you have an opportunity to go do what you actually want to do, and you're not hypnotized by everything that we are all so plugged into every single day, whether it, be obviously the scam news corporations like CNN, Fox News, stuff like that, which if you're still watching that stuff, I don't know what to tell you. But even stuff on Twitter, even the media on like Twitter and stuff, like stuff that we now consider to be alternative media, like all the people who it's like, how I lost 60 pounds in 5 days thread, like just the propaganda on there as well, just or like my unique take on the couple that was caught at the Coldplay show, just like, dude, who gives a shit? Like the stuff that gets into our algorithms, I'm just like, my God, who cares about this? But yeah, just to get away from that and just hike in the woods like I was with my son, and just to be able to do that and connect on that level and totally get out. It's like, that's what I want my life to be about. That's what I want to do as much as possible. So I know people are looking for altcoin pump talk, but just to me, if you're in crypto, why are you in it if not for what I'm talking about right now? That's the thing that I do wonder, and I honestly reflect on it myself a lot. Oh, yeah, I want to make X amount of money to be financially free. I don't want to retire necessarily, but I just don't want to have to answer to somebody else. What are you going to fill your time with? I mean, it's an old trope of the, NFL player or whatever that gets rich off a signing bonus and then ruins his life. Lottery winners, people get an amount of money that they never thought they would be able to attain, and then they're not able to handle it in their day-to-day life, or they didn't have a plan or a passion or something that they actually love, to do. So I think that's something that we all should be thinking about. And I know the people that watch this channel, like the demographic is 99% male. I don't know. I mean, who knows? But age range wise, I'd imagine from 20 to whatever, 70. And you want to know how you're going to fill your time and what's actually important to you. Because I think that crypto and number go up and us sitting here talking about it every single week is fun. And honestly, I mean, I will continue to probably with Ewok, make this content for years to come. I enjoy crypto as, the revolution that I feel that it is and an opportunity for people to change their lives. So I'm not going to stop doing that, but I think you have to have something else in your life that is compelling, what does Marco have to say here? I started my own LLC down the road. I will borrow against my crypto in order to avoid capital gains, buy a house, hunt, fish, love life. Yeah. Yeah, man, that's exactly what I'm talking about is, have something that it is you're passionate about to escape, again, trading time for money like that. So, yeah, I guess for me, it's just been highlighted this week so much because I, had the opportunity to do it and it was great. So, in terms of the actual market, I mean, yeah, I'm curious. You guys go ahead and put it in the chat. I mean, when do you think? I think time-wise is something that I'm more curious about than even price right now. Bob Lucas, who Ewok can't stand, but I'm free of Ewok, so I'm allowed to mention Bob Lucas, and I'm allowed to talk about his talents for a moment anyway. But I do really like the commentary that he provides on the 4-year cycles. And obviously, he's pretty much a Bitcoin-only guy. I know he holds some Ethereum too and stuff like that. But I think he does take a measured look at the cycles. And, he's still feeling very positively about this right now and has talked about, when you're late stage bull market, which even though it doesn't feel like we're in a late stage bull market to us in Pulse Chain, or really it's not just us, it's Ethereum. It's pretty much all altcoins. Like you don't feel like you're in a bull market because everything sucks right now, but there are, reading the tea leaves, there are signs of things getting better. We just had Ethereum charge toward its all-time high, which is incredibly positive. But reading Bob Lucas's tweets the last couple of days talking about the timing of this cycle, where it could ultimately go, he still thinks a December top, which for Bitcoin, that's one thing I want to make clear. And one thing that I think we conflate very often, everywhere. I think people should talk about the differences there, because if you're talking about Bitcoin topping in December, which is what Bob has been saying, that doesn't have to mean that Ethereum tops in December. No, it still could. I mean, we're still only in August. It's the last week of August here. So that timeline, I think, still works. And we could see Ethereum still do crazy, crazy things and Pulse Chain do multiples of those crazy, crazy things on top of Ethereum. I think that could happen in 4 months for sure. But if Bitcoin tops in December, much like it did in 2017, which on this channel, we have been beating the drum of how this cycle looks very similar to 2017, definitely not like 2021, that would mean Ethereum topping sometime in January. And if Ethereum tops sometime in January, that could mean Pulse Chain and other alts maybe not topping until February of 2026. I wouldn't want to say anything much later than that, but that's a very realistic. I mean, that's literally still 6 months. Like if there was a top, and and it's not as if when you top, even in crypto, for those of you who haven't, held at the top of the bull market and got destroyed, which I think all of us probably have at this point. But it's not as if it all just goes to minus 80 to 99% down in a day. I mean, people will not be. That's the whole point. And that's why I think the people that are saying that we've already topped in earnest right now are so wrong. The euphoria hasn't been there. The consensus has to be that we're going to keep running. You know what? Maybe we are bear market proof this time. Maybe, just maybe. That's where we need to get to again, where not just crypto people, but normies and stuff like that are starting to think like, hey, we are just getting started. And then you got like Terra Luna and Voyager Capital and what were the other scams? Mashinsky's thing, Celsius, like all these things start, fading and stuff. That's what has to, unfortunately, that is what has to happen. Now, luckily, we don't have as many of those type of platforms, but we need and I'm not saying this, we need it like for exit liquidity, although they will be. You need the market to get irrationally frothy. And I'm sorry, it hasn't happened. And what if it doesn't? Well, I'm just going to keep sitting here holding these goddamn bags. I mean, that's it. So my answer to the question that I posed on the stream today, if Ethereum's high for this cycle was already in, what am I going to do? Yeah, I'm going to keep sitting here being a bag holder, and I don't give a shit. I mean, I'm going down with this ship. But I think there's a very low percentage chance, obviously, that Ethereum has already topped. So what do we got here from Yed? 18 months after halving is end of October. Also, the 4-year cycle indicates the end of October. So that would be a good typical time frame. I mean, yeah, and maybe, again, those models and talking about that is usually referring to Bitcoin. So maybe we see Bitcoin end up with its all-time high here just in October, which frankly, I could see that as well. I mean, that could be as much as 8 weeks away. And Bitcoin has already run this cycle. It's the only thing. I mean, Solana's had a little bit of a season and stuff, but Bitcoin's the only thing that has run hard for sustained amount of time this cycle so far. So yeah, I could see something like that. Simply because, Bitcoin's 2024 was so insane. Its halving year was so insane, but nothing else has run. We still don't have an Ethereum all-time high. Yeah, just live. Agreed. No time frame. I believe in the chain and the people behind it. That being said, I'm keeping my eyes peeled. Yeah. Yeah, you've got to be ready. I mean, like these next, whatever it may be, 2, 3, 4, 6 months, you must be ready. You like, I know I already have on ramps, off ramps, plans for, after I take certain action. Like, you make sure to have a plan and be ready. That's something we can get into more in a moment. But I'm with you. Yeah, I don't think having a time frame. I think honestly, just live. I think that not having a time range is a great idea, or a price range. I think that is the absolute fault and failure of everybody that loses every end of a bull market when they bag hold, is wanting their portfolio to be a certain size, wanting it to happen on your terms and your time frame. That's a way to lose. If you want to try to control the market and make it do what you want it to do, Ewok and I always make fun of the thing that I say in the intro to this show, but markets tend to become efficient over time. I forget what it is, but essentially, the market is more powerful than you. You're a peon compared to the market. Not you just live, but we, each one of us. It doesn't matter what we want or what we think. So let's focus on, like me personally, I want to focus more on sentiment, what we just spoke about a minute ago. You want it to be like ultra frothy. There's no end in sight. That's more when we'll know, especially those of us who have been around for years now, but yeah, do not make hard and fast rules for what you want this market to do for you, because it's not going to do it. And we're all going to be left holding the bag. So, but right now, do you think that we're at peak euphoria? I mean, it definitely doesn't look like it to me. I actually just texted a buddy the other day who is just a casual, like he has some Ethereum and Bitcoin sitting on Coinbase and has for years. And I was like, hey, don't know if you've noticed the price of ETH, but we're back towards all-time highs. And he was like, yeah, I noticed a bump up, and just asked me generally like what I think is going to happen. And I'm like, well, I would say uber conservatively, I would think that we probably get to near, double that anyway, and maybe a high of 20K for Ethereum. I don't know, but I'm hoping for a wild next few months. So, but my point is with that, this is just a complacent investor who, I don't even know if I call him an investor really, just a guy who has some ETH and Bitcoin is sitting on Coinbase, that is not euphoric. I mean, he's just like, oh yeah, I noticed a bump up. Does that sound like we're at the end of a bull market? I mean, and if we are, and we, which I don't believe this, I'm not saying this, but if the 4-year cycle is different and, Ethereum actually has been a scam all this time and we go down, okay, well, yeah, I'm going to sink with you. I'm sinking with the ship. So I don't have profits to take. Like, what profits am I taking? You know what I mean? That's the funny thing. It's like, well, Peel so much. I got no profits to take. So, yeah. Duke of Booze says, let's grow the chain so we decorrelate more businesses, less extractors. Yeah. No, I agree with that as well. But yeah. What was I going to get into next? Yeah, just there's a lot of factors. I don't know when this market is going to be over, but for us to try to control it and grab onto it, I just don't think we can do that. I had another thing I was going to go into, and now I forget what it was. Maybe somebody can remind me, or if you guys have anything else. I'm not going to stay on too long. Just kind of wanted to touch base with you. And I wanted to be respectful of Corey Geary's show. I think he's on at like 11 usually, or 11:30. We've had the Hex conference the last few days, Hex week with RH Max, which Ewok was on the other night. He was on last night as a panel and solo. We had the Pulse Chain conference with Matty Allen last week. So we got stuff going on. We've got massive, allegedly, Pulse Chain marketing hitting U.S. soil, hitting people's homes very, very soon. Maybe even by the end of this month. I don't know. I'm not going to put a date on it. But I would think as we get into the fall here in the United States, we're going to see what those deliverables are and what it looks like. And I just think, the fact that there are so many people feeling so uninspired and as if the bull market is already over and things like that right now is an incredibly bullish thing. Like, it is incredibly bullish that many people are calling for that right now for us who are, screwed and need the number to go up still. So, I think that's incredibly positive. I don't think I have much else. I wanted to see if there's a couple other things I wanted to cover, but Ewok and I will be back on the regular show next Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm sure we're going to have lots of stuff to talk about. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff on the horizon. Rate cuts again next month. I think it's pretty much a lock and guaranteed. And we'll see where this market goes. But we want Ethereum to start running and alts to start running. And I think that we are going to be part of it. I'm glad to see. The Pulse Chain sentiment, one thing you can't say is that, we are not hanging in there. We've got all of these conferences happening right now, all these people pumping the chain, talking about it and everything. And we're still down here at these prices. So I'm DCAing as hard as I possibly can every single time I'm able to. And I know what I was talking about a minute ago. I guess I don't need to get into way too many details on this, but make sure, over the next few months that you are prepared for what may be to come. Like, we're sitting here right now saying, well, I hope it's not over and this may happen. Let's assume it is going to happen in a way too. Let's plan for it's going to get euphoric and people could see more money than they ever have in their entire life. Are you ready to, execute that opportunity? Are you prepared? Do you know how to use DEXs? Do you have enough on and off ramps from Pulse Chain or exchanges that you've dealt with or whatever else it is? Because if not, I've spent the last couple of years like kind of getting that stuff ready, thinking of every possible hypothetical, trying to plan on everything I can possibly do to know how to onboard with all these different avenues, off board, whatever it is. Are you ready for that? Literally, like do you have the tools in place and the avenues to go in and out and whatever it is you want to do to DCA out of the market potentially when the time comes? I know Pulse Chain, we want to be the Hotel California of blockchains so you can never leave. And who knows, maybe something is happening with PDI to help facilitate that. We have awesome stablecoin pools. I mean, if you want to leave your stuff on chain, you know, and earn great stablecoin yield in a bear market on Pulse Chain, I think it's probably going to be the best place to do it. Obviously, it will be DeFi. Yeah, so we have that, but that's what I would be figuring out now, is preparing for what if, you know, you do attain everything that you ever dreamed of to levels that you never even imagined. How are you going to, first off, psychologically prepare for it, but also literally, again, the on roads and off roads when you get to that point. So make sure, like Marco has been talking about, forming an LLC to protect your assets, take advantage of the tax breaks you get as well. That's an avenue to go. I know Corey Geary has a guy, and they've talked about, you know, charitable remainder trusts and stuff like that. You don't have to do those things. You can do whatever you want to do, but, you know, look into those and whatever you think will work the best for you, you know. Yeah, I think that's pretty much going to do it. I just wanted to hop on, share my fantastic experience of being unplugged from things the last few days and how I want to get to that every day of my life. And I think cryptocurrency is what will help all of us get there. So I appreciate you guys tuning in on this little impromptu. Marco, Just Live, Ewok, you know, son of a bitch, couldn't make it, so he ditched me. I had to fly solo here, so thanks for that. JK, obviously. Duke of Booze, appreciate you, man. Yed over in England, Mr. Chinks. Appreciate all you guys being here. We will be back with our normal programming again next Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So looking forward to that. And just what other crazy stuff this cryptocurrency market has to bring us. So good seeing you guys. This has been Broke Boy Crypto right here on the Creed of Crypto. See you guys.